Hello, folks. Welcome. I'm Kai, the Crafty Kai, and today I am continuing my Draw With Me series and my collection of the feline familiars, the witches' feline familiars. And this one, I hope to have 4 sets coming out for my November shop update. So I'm working on the Tarot Witch, which, given in the name, it's about a witch that uses tarot cards as their primary witchcraft tool. So I was heavily inspired by kind of like in essence all of the things that you normally were saw like as stereotypes of witches set in kind of like a period, kind of like a period piece almost. And I was just thinking, because I saw this image of this black and white image that I found of this kind of like, I don't know, someone who looks like they're dressed up as a witch. It's in black and white, but kind of like a period set. And I don't know what period this is. I'm going to say maybe the Victorian age. I don't know periods of historical periods. But I saw that, and that was kind of what kind of hit the inspiration of how to do the background, because I had already pre-sketched this tarot cat, this tarot witch cat. And I was working through it, and I wanted to do that kind of rich, ornate styling that you would see in, you know, at a certain period of time. I remember seeing these stories where witchcraft or Wiccan were becoming popular with the aristocrats. And so as you see here, I decided to kind of draw like really like a background where you would have like the richness of like a red wallpaper with gold brocade kind of style, which heavily emphasizes like normally this would be like a sitting room in a kind of like the upper, what do you call them? The aristocrats? No. Aristocats? No. But the aristocrats, and they all like played with this kind of in a sense. Like they were very much in the occult is the word often used. So I kind of went and leaned into that side of styling for the background of this piece for this collection. And what was really fun is that I was trying to find different tools in for Krita. This is a program that I'm using on how to add some details but not have to like draw each one, because I just like sometimes like I do get inspirations from my pictures that I found, which I had like the cluttered kind of shelving image. So I found these stamps or brushes, a brush pack. I will link down below the one that I found on the Krita forum, and it was a free pack, so it came with a lot of stuff, so that was really great. And some of it were these book and candle and potion stamps. I was like, perfect, I'm going to fill up the back of this. Yeah, so a lot of the inspiration was part of that. And then I also had some of like what you would see like the fortune tellers that you may see kind of in I want to say carnivals, or like the travelers. Was it the Romani travelers kind of influenced as well? And having like the crystal ball and the tarot and the cards all like in this like very dark setting, where a lot of like, I want to say stone colors, like gemstone colors, were prevalent in the decor. So that's where I went with the red and the golds. And I really try to create a cohesive palette for this, because as I progress with learning in this medium of digital art, I just also want to make the whole, I would say it's like the picture very fluid, not fluid, but I want to say copacetic. But that it goes all well together, and usually finding a really good color palette starts with that. So I had the browns, the reds, and then some oranges, and then highlights of gold, yellows, purple with the gemstones. Because I was thinking, well, I kind of think of kind of like amethyst and carmelian are this kind of stones that I think of, or you could think like really like gemstones. But I was like, yeah, I had this on my desk and it has like a really nice red tones in it, so that was kind of where I picked up on some of the color. But as I was progressing, so you can see here, I was trying to add more of like that ornate, rich, opulent house or sitting room where you would have like wainscoting, like dark wood was normally found in these kind of older century homes. And then I added a portrait, and in my mind it says this is the they're part of a coven. So this person had like a sitting room where they would all gather, and maybe it was like a historical one. It's been a long time that they have a coven, and so they have a portrait of one of the founding members in black and white. So that's kind of where I redrew kind of the picture that I inspired as having like as part of the whole background of this. And then I added a shit ton of candles, and I'm like, that added to the vibe. I love having those like little like airbrush circles above the candles, and it kind of really adds. And I usually do like a 2-color, so I'll use an orange and a yellow to add some dimension to it. And that really, I find that it gives it that really glowy color. And then for the books, I did take the time to like color it in, again sticking with that palette and adding stuff like, I don't know, like lunar cycles, and what was the other one? I actually put in a book that was like tarot and a few other ones to kind of just make it all in theme. But yeah, it was kind of fun to get back into this. I had moments, I was struggling real hard this last month of October with doing some of these and getting my butt in gear to try to get it in. I think I had like a moment of all of the peak stress that I felt with launching my Etsy store. Anyways, it just went to the other side. So I'm going to do a month update next week, so stay tuned for that. But if you're interested, also a part of these collections I have already done is the Green Witch, the Folk Witch, the Cosmic Witch, and the Crystal Witch. So those are all out. If you're interested in this collection, I will also link down below videos of the Draw With Me series that I did with that as well, as I'm working more of the details of adding as many candles as I could possibly put on shelves. So which were fun to kind of like color in. That was the nice thing about having those stamp brushes, is it's just like I could just color it in and add the little details to make it look like the wax is melting. And then I did these potion bottles. So the potion bottles were the first time trying to color and draw in like glassware, like having, like, how do you make it seem translucent? And generally glass has some reflection too. And because it's near the candles, like I would have a reflection of the candle. But I was definitely struggling with that. I couldn't get the right, I went back and forth. I was like, is there like highlight of white? I should have looked up some sort of example, but I've just left it as is. And I was like, I think that's fine. It's background details. Like really, you can't really see it unless you're zoomed at whatever percentage of zoom this is at. So I'll leave it as is, but I will continue working on it, improving that. And then, yeah, so I was making these kind of fun little tonics and potions that may necessarily be not the Tarot Witch that would have done these, but like say they're part of a coven, and it would be like a sister or brother witch, sibling witch if we're being neutral, because I try to add neutral verbiage as a non-binary person. I should try to be more, try to do that more often. Even myself, I find it difficult. So yeah, so I did that and had kind of like a sleep aid. I was like, I definitely need that tonic for myself. And so the next piece is working through to the foreground. I wanted to have like a really following into that decor style would be some sort of like detailed pedestal table. Now I decided to not add as much detail, but if I was being more accurate at that time period, it would probably be very much carved and like really, I'm gonna go with ornate is my adjective of this style is like ornate. Ornate is like elaborate, elegant, high end, I guess, because it takes a lot of work to do. And yeah, so but I left it round and smooth and just try to add like more highlights and like give it depth in that sense. And then adding this little like tablecloth on top to get like one of the inspiration images I had was just generally you have some sort of like a tablecloth or an altar cloth to put I don't know, there's some rule with cloth, like a special cloth of when you're using an altar or a space. So I wanted to make it look kind of magical in a sense. So adding like, I don't know if it'll make it look like lace details by adding that texture, but I did have the little like tassel ends. And then adding the two chairs, pushing on those like really rich details, like it would be a velvet or velour red, ruby red chair with gold accented, you know, wood. Maybe that's a little too ornate, but it could be like those are secondhand or inherited pieces from the family, the Coven family. So yeah, so I was trying to decide if I wanted to leave it with just the one chair at this point, and it felt empty in the corner. I did almost put a plant, but it just didn't suit the vibe of this portrait because I generally like adding some greenery, as I'm like, I lean a lot into like the nature witchcraft, which I think like adding green and plants and stuff like that. But for this one, it just didn't feel like it would suit it very well. So then I just added another chair as this like in a role of like doing a tarot card session. You would have the person sitting in the opposite chair. So that's how I was like playing it out. This is where you would have a guest come in for a card reading. Now for the cat itself, I chose to do the Himalayan. I had pictures of a Balinese, which is a long hair Siamese, if you didn't know, and then the Himalayan cat. So I had kind of two versions, and I did want to do like that contrast and have more of like the darker face a little bit on the chest there. And then I used a different style of brush. I wanted to try, I'm like testing out different brush styles. Like my collection is cohesive in a sense that they all have this theme of being a feline familiar and a type of witchcraft, but the different ways that I'm drawing and playing with the brushes is how I have a lot more fun just like testing things out. So I did it with the charcoal brush, so it wasn't opaque. And I think I did that in a sense when I look at it after, it's kind of like the cat brings in this softness of it, whereas everything else is very like rigid in a sense. Everything else feels rigid except for where the cat is. It's a very soft element. Kind of like it goes into maybe portraying like this whimsical aspect of tarot card reading as it's a serious part of the witchcraft is divining for others and providing guidance through a card reading. And so there's like a structure, it's like a rigid process, but there's an element of interpretation, of whimsy, of softness a part of it. So that's how I look at the tarot readings, as I do them for myself often when I feeling like mentally out of sorts or emotionally dysregulated. I go for a tarot reading or oracle card reading, and it just helps for like self-reflection. So that's kind of a lot of the witch types that I've picked up is kind of all the type of witchcraft that I'm interested in and I practice in certain ways. So with this one here, I also really tried to do like that blue eye, those light blue eyes of those Himalayan or Balinese cats, where it's such a nice contrast. And I finished off with adding like some of the purple and gold details, and I added the little turban on the head was like one of the fun parts, because I was like, the person that would have this cat and wear a little turban, in my head is a very quirky, like aristocrat who does like odd, who'd be very odd in a sense, because I always feel like it's the outcast on certain things that would be interested in what's not part of the norm. So I have this little turban hat detail. I don't know where it was inspired from, but I'm pretty sure I've seen imagery like that of like a fortune teller wearing something like that. So that's kind of where it came from. And I went with the palette with a lighter lavender color, and that, again, sticking with that palette, I wasn't too sure, but I think it turned out quite nice with all those details of like the purple contrasted nicely, I think, with the darkness of the red. I'm still working on if like that is a good palette combination, but for some reason I was thinking, yeah, I think red and purples look good together. I think that's just like the jewel tones, and the lavender wasn't as jewel tone, so that's maybe where I was kind of struggling with it. But then adding shadows, the shadow part was really helping pull it all together, because if I had just used like that flat lavender color, I don't think I would have liked it as much. But yeah, so those are all these little details. Now, what the struggle with using that charcoal brush was that I didn't think about this, because I generally use a pre-sketched scan, like I scan a sketch. Hello, Gretchen. And so when I'm drawing on certain things, once I take that layer away, then I realize, oh, it's kind of not opaque enough, and I could see through it. So then I had to do some fixes for that. But otherwise, I still wanted to keep that quality of softness. It kind of really felt more like fluffy fur. Is it your fluffy fur? And then the final details was, of course, adding tarot cards and a crystal ball. It's just part of like having that orb. As all the finishing details. And then for the tarot cards, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know which ones to draw. I didn't want to be too complicated, because it's just like little details. But I thought of the first cards that came to my mind and my intuition. So I did a Ace of Cups, which the cups represent emotion, and ace being beginnings. So beginnings of like some sort of emotional journey was kind of where I was going for. And then the Three of Pentacles or coins and pentacles being materialistic, and 3 signifying creativity. And you know, it's the beginning of a emotional journey with a creative, career-driven endeavor. So that is kind of where you see your butt out of the way. That is why I chose those cards to be included. So it's like hidden messaging in my art. Always I try to include some sort of hidden messaging for myself, and it's, you know, it's kind of fun to say. So another element here is the glassware of the orb was kind of tricky too, and it made me think of like the Eye of Sauron, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, but I was like the Eye of Cat, Catron. And I did add some elements of green, and I'm like, I can't seem to stay away from green. Green is my fave. It's my favorite color. I always try to incorporate it, and it has 2 areas that have a little bit of green. So I was like, I know it's not part of my palette, but you're in there anyways. So after signing it and fixing up some of the details, I always have to do these cleaning edge part, yet to figure out how to get it so I don't draw on the back layers. I'll get better with this program. You know, I find you learn as you go. And that's what I'm doing. I'm learning as I go with some of these programs. But this is the Tarot Witches Feline Familiar. I really liked how the overall picture turned out. It really showcases the story I'm trying to tell, and there's always a story in this series that I'm doing. So each one has their own individual storyline. I was trying to think of a name for this cat, and I kind of want to have something like Madam or Mistress Von something or other. Von Flufferton? No, I don't know. I'm terrible with names. I can do drawings and stuff, but naming characters, that is always a struggle because it's like, where do I think of names? I always struggle with people's names, so how do I add character names? But if you have any suggestions for this Feline Familiar's name, please let me know down below. I would love to hear it. If you have any questions about what I used today, I'm going to try to add as much detail in the description box. But if you can drop some words of wisdom or kindness down below, I would greatly appreciate that. If you're interested and continue watching this series, follow, subscribe. I'm also on Instagram, the Crafty Kai. And I'll let you know once this is available as an art print if you're interested. I am hoping to make about 12 in this collection in total. Originally I was 8, but I kind of broadened it to 12, and I have some future projects to hopefully work out for the new year process, because that is coming up. Like, how is time going so fast? So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Kai, the Crafty Guy, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.